seen anything like it!
Isn't this something crazy to see? And no, I'm not talking about it being the year 2024 and us having one of the best Olympics to date. I'm not talking about how much the world is catching up when it comes to competitive basketball. And I'm not even talking about how this man at the age of 40 is doing stuff like this.
LeBron finds it.
What I am talking about though, is how before these two were shaking hands and pulling off some of the most legendary moments in basketball Olympic history.
Lovely dribble, puts it up. Oh.
There was a time a couple years back where things looked a lot different, where these two were on opposite sides, where these two were setting the stage for one of the biggest series in all of sports history. To start things off, it's only right to look at the Warriors, because that 2015 through 2016 Warriors team was really f***ing good, and I mean really f***ing good. They are also one of the most fun teams I've ever seen play in any sport. From players like Lockdown Iguodala and mid-range specialist Sean Livingston still being on the roster at the time.
I want Iguodala.
To the Splash Brothers being at their peak and turning the three-point contest by themselves. And even Draymond was in his prime back then. But all that might cease to compare to the element that Steph Curry brought to the team that year. And not just the team, not just the NBA, but to the sport as a whole. This was the peak of Curry changing the way the game was being played.
So that's just studying the game. How do you stop Steph Curry?
That year, it felt like any shot from anywhere on the court had the likelihood of hitting the bottom of the net once it left his hands. Anytime the ball left his hands, it's almost like you would hold your breath and ask yourself, is he really gonna do it again?
Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang!
This led to him averaging 35 and 5 on a regular nights basis, which helped lead his team to the best record in NBA regular season history. And with that type of resume, it was hard to see anyone else as MVP that year, making him the first and only ever unanimous MVP. The team looked unstoppable, so much so that after going against the Oklahoma City Thunder and advancing to the finals, they would be the favorites to win it all. It would be Cleveland versus Golden State once again in a rematch from the 2015 finals where Golden State won it. But this time, unlike last year, Cleveland would be a healthy team, having the full three-headed monster of Kevin Love, Kyrie, and LeBron James. And to begin things off, it was much of the same from the year prior, with Golden State taking the first two games in very commanding fashion, winning the first game by 15 with a 104-89 performance, and also taking game 2 by over 30 with a 110-77 win, giving them an early 2-0 advantage in the series. The Warriors looked dominant in the opening games at home. It even got Klay Thompson to state that they were better than the Showtime Lakers.
Or solidifies you guys as one of the best teams of all.
We got 2 more wins before consider saying that.
We were better than the Showtime Lakers.
But Draymond was right. The Warriors still needed to grab 2 more wins before it was all said and done. The Cavs would then answer with a game of their own at home, putting up a blowout, making the series only a 2-1 deficit. And it looked like with another home game, LeBron and the Cavs had a chance to even out the series at 2-2 with the heavy momentum from game 3. But then the madman on the Warriors, after going silently through the first 3 games, finally woke up and put up an impressive 38 points and let LeBron James hear it while he did it. The game would finish with Golden State taking the victory 108-97, making the series officially a 3-1 lead. In a situation where the Cavs were looking to make the series even at 2-2, after having the momentum from game 3, quickly turned into a nightmare, as this was a deficit no team to this point had ever came back from, and the Warriors could feel they were on the edge of winning back-to-back championships. And although things were looking bright, the team still had to clinch one more game from arguably the greatest NBA player to ever live.
You know, Klay started talking about how they were better than the Showtime Lakers, and that commentary is just still picking up. It's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, and that's when Bron just said, you know what, guys, it's written.
In the entire history of the NBA, outside of the 2016 Cavs, there have been over 30 teams to go down 3-1 in the NBA Finals, and none of them have managed to climb out of that deficit. The Warriors 3-1 in the Finals was a death sentence just waiting to happen. Unless your name is LeBron James.
I remember Bron, he was like halfway standing up. He's like, I'm telling you, we will do this, we'll do that.
Of course, to do this, it would take one game at a time. And that first game would be game 5. And after Game 4, it was clear that the Cavs were going to need something to help turn things around. And they got their wish.
Official word came down on Sunday. Draymond Green will serve a one-game suspension without pay.
Maybe the most crucial moment in the entire series was in the final minute of Game 4. And it wasn't a buzzer beater or a turnover, but instead a flagrant foul. With just under 3 minutes to go, Draymond Green and LeBron get tied up at the top of the key, which leads to Draymond falling down and LeBron choosing to step over him to get back into play.
You go off of my shoulder, you're disrespecting me as a man. I don't give a damn about basketball over who I am as a man.
And Draymond's reaction to this disrespect was to take a low swing towards LeBron. Even with all the commotion, the flagrant foul wasn't assessed until after the game. And with Draymond Green already having multiple technicals, this would force the NBA to suspend him for Game 5. Meaning the Warriors would have to go into a closeout game without one of their key defenders. And this would make Game 5 arguably the most crucial game in the entirety of the series. With a win, the Warriors would be NBA champions. But with a loss, you get LeBron and the Cavs not only life, but all the momentum with Game 6 being scheduled to be played back in Cleveland, and all of a sudden, the Cavs had a path to make the 3-1 comeback real. And that brings us to Game 5. It was evident that both teams knew how important this game was. Both teams threw haymakers back and forth at each other in the first half, combining for the most points at halftime in a final since 1987. The game was tied at 61-61 at half. But then the second half happened, and Kyrie Irving showed why they call him Uncle Drew. LeBron and Kyrie combined for a staggering 82 points with 41 apiece, having one of the best duo performances in NBA history.
Irving from three, bang!
This led to the Cavs winning the game 112-97 and forcing a Game 6 back at Cleveland. And now, the pressure was really on the Warriors, because if the Cavs could manage to win Game 6, that would push a Game 7 against LeBron James and a Kyrie Irving who just caught fire for 41 apiece. So Game 6 happens, and from the opening tip-off, it was all Cavs, putting up a commanding performance in the first quarter, ending it 31-11. The Warriors tried to climb back into it, keeping it within reach until Steph Curry picked up his 5th foul late in the fourth and was ejected from the game.
He throws his mouthpiece after fouling out of the game.
And with LeBron going for 41 points again, there was no chance the Warriors could climb back into it. This will give the Cavs the win in Game 6, 115-101, tying the series 3-3, and forcing a finals Game 7.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Game 7 would go down as a historic game no matter the outcome. Either the Warriors would officially become the greatest statistical NBA team in history, or the Cavs would pull off the impossible comeback. The game would be in Oracle Arena, but the Cavs also had their home base supporting back in Cleveland with a watch party at home. And Mike Breen said it best, this finals had been filled with everything: suspensions, individual historic performances, off-court drama, on-court ejections, but the one thing that this series hadn't had yet was a close game. And it was primed to happen with LeBron coming off of back-to-back 41-point performances and Curry also being hot with a 30-point game the last time he stepped on the court. But at the end of the first half, it was Draymond Green who had the standout performance with 22 points at half, going 5 for 5 from 3 and an and 1 to end off the half.
Stops underneath, layup is good, and 1.
Showing why him missing Game 5 was so crucial. But every Draymond 3 was answered with a Kyrie or LeBron and 1.
Irving off the glass and 1.
The Warriors would have the lead 49-42 at half. But this will be a game decided in the second half. And going into the fourth, after Kyrie exploded on an offensive tear in the third quarter, all that was on the line for Cleveland fans was prevalent. The Cavs winning would give the city of Cleveland an end to their championship drought. They could feel that they were on the verge of something great. But the fourth quarter was a back and forth game, multiple lead changes, but intensity really set in when the game was tied with about 4:31 left to go. Both teams would go scoreless for about the next 3 minutes. It would be filled instead with championship defense from both teams and a play we all remember vividly.
Back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James.
It was clear that whoever could break the tie this late in the game would have the advantage, and then Kyrie Irving saw blood.
And we realized Steph wasn't trying to match up with Kai. All we took it as, you scared of buddy?
Curry, one-on-one, Irving puts it up. It's good, Kyrie!
This shot was one of the most clutch Game 7 shots in NBA Finals history. It's one that helps define our memory of it. And after LeBron would split 2 free throws to push the lead to 4, the Warriors had one more chance to make something happen. And they gave the ball to Steph Curry. And they were looking for just one more ounce of what for so many times worked all season long. But this time, the unanimous MVP couldn't find the bottom of the net, and then
It's over! It's over! Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
LeBron James finally did it. The kid from Akron, Ohio, after being shunned when he first left, brought his city a championship, as promised. And it was clear that this one meant more. He's won championships in Miami, but this one being for Cleveland and the biggest comeback in NBA history had reason to bring him to his knees.
I don't know why we want to take the hardest road. It's nothing to man above. Don't put you in situations that you can't handle.
And this series was bigger than just a season championship in the NBA. This series comeback would define most of our childhoods. It helped define one of the greatest NBA rivalries we've had in history between Steph Curry and LeBron. And with these two talking about the idea of retirement, this moment in their legacy is maybe more relevant than ever.
Please, can you just reenact the game when you hit over Stephen Curry? That's it.
Sorry, fellas. That's the past. It's time to create new memories, man.
And it's pretty interesting that Kyrie said this, because the Warriors didn't waste any time in building a new future. But with all the shots, blocks, frustrations, and celebrations, this is why the 3-1 comeback will forever be one of the greatest moments in all of sports history.
Yeah, when I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living out my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a foreign land. Whole wrist covered up in ice. Dealership, never asked the price.